One. Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I am the perfect one, AJ. This, of course, is my co-host, Noah Engelbretson. Follow us on Twitter at perfect one for myself at n_Engelbretson for Noah at Degen Takes to follow the show in general on all social media platforms. However, you're liking, listening, subscribing, we appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, beat those bastard algorithms, dude. I swear to God. I swear, dude. It's like every morning I wake up, and I think today's going to be a good day. It's going to be a great day to walk up and just grab the day by the balls and everything. But then these algorithms come into effect and, man, it just ruins the day. You know what I mean?
You hate those algorithms, man.
You hate them. You really do. Almost as much, honestly, as you hate, like, I don't know about you. Like, I think all of us at Degenerate Takes can say we're not Cowboys fans by any means necessary, and we hate that when the Cowboys win a game. But I mean, this Cowboy, like, if they're going to be on prime time, I'm glad they're at least doing good. You know what I mean? Cowboys beating the Eagles 41-21 tonight, pretty in decisive fashion. Dak Prescott looking like an NFL quarterback, incredible to watch. No, what did you think about this game? Before we get to, in my opinion, more interesting games, I think the Eagles were going to kind of suck ass no matter what we thought. But here we are with the Cowboys, suddenly maybe an actual football team playing good.
Yeah, I mean, what did I say at the beginning of the season? I said the Cowboys would be a 10 or 11 win team.
Yeah.
And I still fully stand by that. I think the Cowboys they're good. What's really impressing me about them is their defense. This new look defense they have with Dan Quinn calling the plays. Marson's obviously playing super, super well, not looking like a rookie at all. They look like they should easily, with how Washington's been playing, they should easily win their division.
Yeah, they definitely have an opportunity to win the NFC least at this point. Yeah, Washington being as shitty as they are in this game, this season, definitely something to look out for. I was just honestly impressed with the fact that the Cowboys ran the ball, with Mike McCarthy being allergic to the run and everything. Being able to get Ezekiel Elliott involved in the game was, and that's the whole thing with the Cowboys offense, as long as they can get everyone involved, like that's a solid offense to go into. And the Eagles just really stood no chance with them going into a full slate. A full roster and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the Eagles are just a bad team. I said it after their week 1 game where they blew out the Falcons, like not to read into that too much.
Yeah.
Because the Falcons are also a shit team. But the Eagles aren't good. Like, let's not try to pretend that the Eagles are a good team. This game should have been a blowout. I don't know why the spread was as low as it was. The Eagles have nothing going right for them.
They really don't. They really don't. And honestly, since this is Degenerate Takes and we're just going to talk about all the games, I want to talk about a team that also has nothing going for them whatsoever. And the fact, and everyone is finally starting to jump on my bandwagon of firing everyone. And thank Christ, dude, because it's been a long time coming. Of course, I'm talking about the Chicago fucking Bears losing 6-26 against this Cleveland Browns team with Justin Fields starting. I mean, what the hell, dude? Like, everyone is finally starting to jump on we need to fire Matt Nagy. We need to fire Ryan Pace. They're finally starting to jump on that bandwagon. Hello, I have been here for a goddamn minute. I've been pounding that bandwagon for literally the last however long we've been on this show. We've been doing this show for what, 2.5 months now. I've been pounding that train since we've started this show. Matt Nagy is a terrible NFL coach and needs to be fired. And with that being said, Justin Fields obviously not the answer. The Browns being down a couple defensive players due to injury. I mean, this should have been not a close game, but at least a little bit of an easier game. But the Bears are going to be the Bears. They're going to bury every quarterback they ever have. And that's where we're standing now. We're standing now with a first round quarterback again, that we traded up for again. And the Bears are just going to be a shit team. They're the worst team in the NFC North. I'm even saying worse than the fucking Lions at this point. The fact that they are, the record that they are at is disrespectful to the rest of the division. Noah, how do you feel about the Bears being as shitty as I said they were going to be at the beginning of the season?
Well, I love it. I'm just basking in it. But I mean,
background. There we go. There's the middle finger.
I've been telling you this for before you jumped on it. Like, you still were holding out some hope because of the defense, and they're still could be a good team. I've been saying for years, and this, that I've been saying the Bears are just a trash franchise. I think part of the reason that not a lot of people have been paying attention to it is people are still under the notion that the Bears have a championship defense.
They don't.
Right, their defense is not what it was. And people have still been under the notion that defense can perform how it did 3 or 4 years ago. That's not the case. The offensive line sucks. The coaching sucks. It's just like, it's a recipe for disaster, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, the craziest thing for me was the 68 pass yards, but then you had 9 sacks for negative 67 yards. So the Bears had net 1 positive yard. A total of 1 yard.
And Noah, let me tell you something really quick.
Yeah.
I was, I played freshman football because, and most people do, I played freshman football, thought I was the shit. I played quarterback for that freshman team. Okay. I threw, no joke, 4 times, the whole season. 1 was incomplete. 3 were completions. 75% completion rating. We're not going to talk about that, though. I just want to say I had a better rookie season than Justin Fields has had at this point. And with that being said, the fact that they're throwing him into this shitty offense with Matt Nagy calling the shitty plays that he's calling, like, they're just setting this man up for success. They're going to bury this man before he even has a chance to do any good. And he's a good quarterback. We saw it during preseason. We saw it a couple times in the red zone and everything. But here we are with Matt Nagy coaching this little shit. And, the Bears are going to be terrible again. I hate to say it. But I called it. I hate to say it, but I called it. The Bears are going to be terrible again with a brand new quarterback. It's just how we like to do business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you guys just aren't allowed to have a good quarterback, so
they're not, dude. And I get it. Like, I'm fine with it, but
it is in the NFL rule book. It is in the NFL rule book.
It is, unfortunately. But luckily for the Packers, I mean, you guys, your apparent rule in the NFL handbook is to have a great goddamn kicker with Mason Crosby kicking you guys a game winner at the end. Packers winning 30-28 over the San Francisco 49ers. Electric game. That is the game I want to see on Sunday night. You know what I mean? That is the game that I wait for all week. That was the perfect game to put. I've been disappointed with the last couple Sunday night games. I'm glad they came out strong with this one. What are your thoughts on the Packers, though? Because don't get me wrong, this 49ers team put up a fight. Like, they put up a fight against them and everything.
First off, how have you been disappointed with the Sunday night games? I mean, we had Chiefs-Ravens last week. That was
Monday.
Incredible game.
Wasn't that Monday?
No, the Packers were Monday night last week. That was the Sunday night game.
My bad. Oh, I guess I'm just pissed off still that the Bears got a fucking Sunday night game week 1. Like, that was bullshit. The last thing they deserve is a Sunday night game. Anyway.
Yeah, that week one was not as good. But yeah. I don't, I should be basking in this win more, but
it was rough.
The reality of it is it should have never even came down to a game-winning drive.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell was the refereeing in that game?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, Noah, because the biggest problem...
they were giving San Francisco every opportunity to come back, and it still wasn't enough.
Not only that, but for the analyst of the game, who's the Sunday night referee analyst? What's his
Uh,
face?
Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth.
No, the referee analyst, like that they call in on those plays.
Oh, probably Mike Pereira, maybe.
Is that Pereira? Well, Pereira, he decided to come out and talk like a dumb fuck for 15 minutes because after that hit on Devontae Adams, bro, I am so sorry, but we're just gonna let that slide. Are you fucking kidding me?
Speaking of, did you see what he said in the post game?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Obviously, he was only out a couple minutes in the medical tent. Comes back into the game, was the big focal point of that last second field goal drive. And they asked him about it in the post game, and his response was, "I guess I'm just built different."
He is, dude. He's a man that's built different. I mean, he's an alien.
I would have sworn to God he was concussed. I mean, mouth guard hanging out the side of his mouth, just laying on the turf.
Bro, concussed. That motherfucker was dead. Are you kidding me? Like the way that hit looks, his eyes rolled in the back of his head. You could see that on TV. Like, I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the NFL probably has the best.
Either he is just built different, or he's really good at bullshit passing.
Yeah,
bullshit passing a concussion test.
And hey, if he is good at that, props on him because that shit's hard to pass. But yeah, I really think the big story out of this game is not the Packers won the game. I think it's the the officiating in this game. Like, how do you have such a shitty? Because Mike Pereira came out and he said that ref was not in the right position. He literally was not in the right position to make that call. He's supposed to be behind all of the safeties and all of the receivers and everything on that call in order to make a decision like that. And nothing happened. And like, you can't go back on the tape. And like, they go back on the tape, they realize they fucked up and everything. They'll probably release a letter later this week from the NFL saying, sorry, we fucked up. But with a fucking league that's all about concussion protocol and trying to keep players safe and everything. And I have the same problem with the goddamn NCAA. They're doing all this bullshit too. They're not calling this shit. If we're worried about concussions and everything.
If this was an NCAA game, that would have been called for targeting in a heartbeat. They love calling targeting.
Love targeting. They do love targeting. But regardless, the NFL is trying to tell us not to go head-to-head and everything, and especially all these Pop Warner leagues and flag football leagues and everything like that. Fucking prove it. Fucking make that call, and don't have your fucking referees in a shitty position to not make that call. How dare that guy not do his... Like, I don't do my job. If I don't do my job properly, someone loses out on a couple $100,000, and I get fired for that, But if this motherfucker doesn't make a call on a guy getting hit head to head and we're going to just let that pass, fired. That guy should be fired for not being in the right position to make the right call. I am sick and tired of the NFL pushing all of this bullshit on safer play and all of this and then not making calls like that. That guy should be fired for not doing his job.
Well, and then they turn around and they do the opposite with that roughing the passer call on Jair Alexander.
Oh, kiss my ass on that. Are you fucking kidding me? We're going to call that and we're not going to call the other one?
And this pisses me off because time and time again, the Packers have been on the wrong end. Our defense, it seems like all the fucking time we get called for roughing the passers that are so weak. This one, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even go to the ground.
He didn't. He did.
He stayed on
roughing the passer. Like, what are we doing?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how the fuck are you going to call it roughing the passer if he didn't even get knocked down? He's still on his feet. So he got bumped a little. He got whacked by an arm, and it wasn't even enough to knock him off his feet. And that's somehow a roughing the passer. So the combination of that, obviously the Devontae Adams hit, no call. And then Eric Stokes got called for a bullshit pass interference in the end zone where he barely made any contact. So, I mean, you're talking about the refs literally, especially with those two in the red zone. I mean, they literally handed San Francisco 10 to 14 points that they shouldn't have had in this game.
No, absolutely. And I want to go ahead.
I mean, just thank God the Packers still won because
yes. Thank God the Packers won. That money line was too good to cover. I mean, obviously. But even not talking as sports better, I'm just talking as an NFL fan. You know what I mean? Someone who likes watching football and everything.
Well,
These
and
calls are
you as a
getting
Bears
fucking
fan,
ridiculous, dude. Like,
you
this
as
is
a
across the
Bears
NFL.
fan texting me about the refs in that game. Like, if these calls are going against a team that you dislike and you're still
I
like,
hate
wow,
the
that's a real
Packers.
shit
I
call,
hate the Packers, and that was
then that should
bullshit.
say something. Then that should say something if people who are like people who dislike the Packers were like, yeah, these are some really bad fucking calls.
And it was on display because it's a primetime game. And honest to God, it did a disservice to the rest of the NFL. But we're seeing all of these same bullshit calls literally across the NFL. Like the Cardinals game, the one that I watched, there were so many bullshit calls on roughing the passer, pass interference, roughing the kicker, all this bullshit. And like, don't get me wrong. Yes, these rules are in place to protect the players and stuff like that. But at some point, like, you got to understand that at some point going in motion, you're going to hit a guy. Like, that's just fucking physics 101. Like, I failed physics in high school, Noah. I failed physics in high school, and I still understand that a body in motion is going to stay in motion until it's stopped. And so I do not blame any of these guys getting a roughing the kicker, roughing the passer, or anything like that, because the rules are against them.
It depends. I mean, my opinion on it is if the player appears to be trying to let up and they're slowing down and they just run into somebody, that shouldn't be a penalty.
No.
Now, if the quarterback throws it or the kicker has already kicked it and the guy's still running full steam ahead and doesn't make an attempt to like go off to the side or like hold up and like not hit him as hard, then yeah, I understand that. And also understand the roughing the passer if you hit the quarterback below the knees or if you hit him in the head or neck area. However, the problem with the head and neck part is they're calling calls where a guy's hand brushes the quarterback's helmet. That's not a hit. That is called touching them. Now, if you're hitting them forcefully in the head or neck area, yeah, that should be a roughing the passer. You should get fined for that.
100%.
But like bumping them with your hand or your arm, like I don't understand that. I think that's the reason why that Jair one got called is because his hand or arm hit Garoppolo in the head somewhere.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, Garoppolo stayed on his feet, so clearly that wasn't a very forceful hit at all. I don't know how that was roughing the passer. That was complete garbage.
And the thing that kills me is that all of these defensive players, like, they know how important a quarterback is to their team. You know what I mean? And they know the rules in place. They're not trying. The last thing they're trying to do is fuck up a quarterback. You know what I mean? The last thing they're trying to do is do that.
And they know it's a 15-yard penalty too, and an automatic first down.
So exactly. And so you got these guys coming in.
95% of the time or more, these players are trying to lay off and not hit the quarterback very hard.
Yeah.
But the rule is, I mean, it's a quarterback-driven league. That's where all the money and the revenue comes in. So they have all these extra rules to protect the quarterbacks over other players. Because the quarterbacks are their golden children. They're the golden gooses that make all the money. So, but it's just stupid. Like I mean, I'd be pissed off like if I'm a running back.
Yeah.
Or running backs and like offensive linemen. They have like no rules, protecting them. Or I shouldn't say no rules, but the rules protecting them are so minimal compared to like other positions. And like that sucks because like running backs and offensive linemen are just as important, but oftentimes have shorter careers because you're an offensive lineman, you're getting your lower legs and ankles rolled up on all the time.
Yeah.
Running backs just get hit a shit ton, and they're taking a lot of hits in the trenches. Portion of those to the head and neck that don't ever get called for penalties, but they just have to endure it and they just have to suck it up, and they get paid less. So it's kind of shitty for them.
It really is. And you and I have been on the side of there needs to be a different salary cap for quarterbacks. Like quarterbacks need to be considered different in the salary cap. Like you can pay a quarterback X amount of dollars, like, because the quarterback is what runs that team, no matter offense, defense. If you don't have a good quarterback, you're fucked. It's simple as that. And so we've both been on the side where we're like, yeah, pay these quarterbacks all this money, and but still get these other guys this money.
That's why they get paid. that much more. And it makes sense that they get paid more than any other position. What I'm saying is, rules wise, there shouldn't be all these extra rules to protect the quarterbacks.
No,
that don't go for the other positions as well.
absolutely,
it's kind of all or none. But it's like you're putting. And I'm not saying there should be more protection rules for other positions necessarily. I'm saying they're taking these quarterback protection rules way too far.
No, 100%.
And it's kind of ruining the game a little bit with all these stupid fucking roughing the passer. And I mean, that's the main one. I mean, every single week I see at least one or two bullshit roughing the passers that are called, where quarterback barely gets hit and they're calling a penalty on it.
But Tom Brady even came out a couple weeks ago on Buccaneers Talk, and he said that the rules are meant for a quarterback to fuck up. Like, you throw a ball up the middle and there's a safety coming in, and, you're hitting that cross route and that safety comes in and hit him. That's not a defenseless receiver. That's a quarterback making a bad decision of, like, putting that gal out to dry.
You can 100% lead. If you're a quarterback and you, depending on where you place the ball, you could totally lead your receiver into a massive hit.
Exactly. And that's what Tom Brady's saying.
But, like, that's so stupid, though, because, they take a massive hit to the head, a receiver does, and that could be the quarterback's fault, but they're the one paying the price and shit. Quarterbacks barely get fucking touched and there's a flag thrown.
It's terrible. It's terrible, dude. Yeah, like, I really have no other words to describe it. It's just a terrible situation we're in right now in the NFL, like, where we're having these this roughing the passer, roughing the kicker. Like, there are so many guys, like, and I saw it so many times this weekend, college and pros, where they're going just to dive at the ball and they're still hitting the kicker just because of their momentum. And it's like, they're obviously not trying to hit the kicker. It's not roughing the kicker. It's fucking trying to block a ball.
If you make contact with the ball first and then hit the kicker's leg, it's not a penalty.
No, I get that.
If that kick gets through and then you hit the kicker, then yes, that's a penalty. And I mean,
I get that, but that's fucking stupid.
I don't really have a problem with the roughing the kicker calls, because
what? How do you not have a problem with those, but you have a problem with roughing the passer? Because we're dealing with the same shit.
Because there's a difference between a clean block. Dude, if you say, especially, like, think about a punter, if you come in and you hit their plant leg, like, that's dangerous for them. They could, fall weird, fuck something up, and then they're
very dangerous. But if
I'm
diving for a ball and my hands are out, I'm diving to block the kick and I hit their fucking plant leg, I mean, that's just momentum. That's me trying to make a play. That is not me trying to fuck up this guy's career. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why there's a difference between running into and roughing the kicker. If you hit their kicking leg, it's only a 5-yard penalty. If you hit their plant leg, it's 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Yeah, but exactly my point. Like, that's a big penalty. That's 15 yards and a first down. I mean, you know what I mean? You're trying to make a play. You're trying to do what you're trained to do. And
man, you hardly ever see roughing the kicker anymore.
What do you mean? I saw it 3 times this weekend.
Well, I don't know. I guess we were watching different games, but I'm saying it's not very common. The roughing the passers are just happening left and fucking right.
Well, in the NFL, yes. I'm sorry. I'm doing the roughing the kicker over NFL and college. Yes, I will say it's less in the NFL, but college is just getting brutal. The roughing the passer stuff, though, these quarterbacks are men. Like, and that's what the fuck are we doing with that? Because it's starting to really affect games, that's the stuff the NFL is starting not to.
Yeah.
They don't really want to stay away from that as affecting games, but here we are. You know,
this is why. I mean, this has been the fucking longest story of time. Is the NFL is the no fun league because they don't fucking. It's just rules.
Yeah, it sucks. I thought we were done with that.
Fucking football. It's football. It's football. It's supposed to be rough. People are supposed to take hits. Now I understand certain things like trying to get rid of helmet to helmet hits. That's a very good thing to have.
Yes, very good.
But I'm saying you're a quarterback and you get a little conk on the head with a forearm, and that's a 15-yard penalty and a new set of downs. Like, especially like in this case where the penalty is literally called roughing the passer, and I don't understand how any hit that you can stay on your feet after is ever considered roughing.
Seriously, like, you're on your feet, you're looking at the pass being thrown. How can you call that roughing the passer? With that being said, and talking about quarterbacks and everything, I didn't think Trevor Lawrence looked too bad against the Cardinals. Like, Trevor Lawrence, I feel like, is going to be like Matthew Stafford. He's a good quarterback. We just got to see him in a better system. You know what I mean?
Oh, sorry, you're frozen there for a second. But
I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence being like the future GOAT, because I feel like once we get him into a different offense and everything like that, he'll be good to go. But this rebuild in Jacksonville is just going to set him back. He's showing qualities of a good quarterback and everything, but Jacksonville being Jacksonville, here we go.
Dude, I missed like the last minute of what you were just saying.
Holy shit. Well, that's fine, because can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were frozen and then you're back for like 3 seconds and then you went frozen again.
Well, sorry for the technical difficulties for those that are listening. But Noah, honest to God, I've been sucking Trevor Lawrence dick for the last 2.5 minutes. I mean, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. Coming out of this season, I think he's one of those quarterbacks, kind of like Matthew Stafford. You just got to get him in a good system, and he will show up, show out, like Matthew Stafford does. And that's why I'm kind of worried about Matthew Stafford and the Cardinals. We'll get to that on Degenerate Bets later this week. But Trevor Lawrence, I feel like he's going to be a good quarterback in the future coming out, and it's going to be a franchise quarterback. Whether it's for the Jaguars or another team, I feel like he's going to be a solid quarterback coming into the NFL.
Not this year. And
no,
probably
not this
year. And probably not next year, and probably not the year after. He's going to have a really steep learning curve because this organization is kind of fucked, and that is kind of the curse of being the number one, or in Zach Wilson's case, the number 2 pick, where you're stuck on a team that does not have the pieces in place at almost any position.
No.
Now Lawrence has a really good wide receiver room, but that offensive line is terrible. The running backs are mediocre at best. No tight end, and the defense is terrible. Like, you can only ask so much. Obviously, he's thrown 7 picks through 3 games.
Yeah.
I think he breaks Peyton Manning's record of, I think Peyton Manning had 28 or 26 as a rookie.
27.
27. God, right in the middle.
How dare you?
I think Lawrence will go for over 30 picks this season.
Oh, easily. And again, that's nothing against him.
Especially with this extra 17th game. It's going to be brutal for Jacksonville. I do think they're, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So I do think they'll figure out a way to win 2 or 3 games. Probably not till the second half of the season. But yeah, I mean, 5 years from now, we may be looking at him like, wow, look how good Trevor Lawrence is. But, it's just hard. Right. You've got him versus if you compare it to like a Justin Herbert situation.
Yo, let's talk about Herbert for a fucking minute. Beating the Chiefs. Holy crap, dude.
You know what I'm saying, though? Like, Herbert came into an already almost 500 team, so he came into a mediocre team. He had enough pieces to have some, like, decent teammates and decent, like, functioning around him.
Oh, definitely. And it's the Tyrod Taylor curse and everything. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. The replacement comes in. Justin Herbert doing incredible again this weekend. Routing. I mean, I'm going to say routing. I mean, it was a close game at 30-24 for the final score. but it really felt like Justin Herbert had a control over this game. It really felt like
he was playing out of his mind. But this Chiefs defense, I don't think this Chiefs defense is all that great.
Dude,
based on what I've seen out of
going on
the first
with the Chiefs. Like, I'm used to them not covering and everything, but not winning a game. Like, what are we looking at? Because I mean, I didn't take the Chiefs this week, betting or anything, in a pool or any shit like that, because this Chargers team is going to be a rough test. But with the Chargers playing the way they are, and with the fucking Chiefs playing the way they are, I honestly want to count the Chiefs out of the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, that would be foolish. What I think it is, they've never really had that much of a defense, and it's starting to catch up to them. They're balling out. Obviously, they have a couple good players, Tyrann Mathieu. They have a couple guys on defensive line and linebacker, but overall, their defense isn't very good. It hasn't been, and they've been having success without it, just because how potent their offense is. They've been able to just score so many points that it doesn't matter if they give up 30, because they can score 40. This brings me back to the Packers. This is how the Packers were for a good 4, 5, 6 years. It was absolutely, we'd have a bottom 30th ranked defense in the NFL, but our offense would just be so good that we'd make the playoffs. And the problem with that recipe is it always leads to you lose in the second round of the playoffs every year, because whatever. And I think that's kind of the track the Chiefs are down. I mean, they've spent so much money on, Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Now they've spent a shit ton of money on trying to bring in a new revived offensive line, which has not been worth the money so far.
That's not at all.
But they're just kind of ignoring their defense.
No, I would agree. This defensive line is honestly one of the weakest ones I've seen in the NFL in a long time. I have no confidence in the Chiefs line getting any pressure on a quarterback, or even making them make a hard decision, because it just seems like whenever the Chiefs are playing, they're counting on that 30-point comeback and everything like that. And they can do it. They've been proven to do it. But Patrick Mahomes, and Noah, I'm about to put the hottest take out there on Degenerate Takes. I think Patrick Mahomes is not the quarterback that we think he's going to be. I think he was a flash in the pan. I think he is not equipped to do what the $100 million or however much he was paid. I don't think he's worth it. I'm getting on that bandwagon right now. I think Patrick Mahomes was a bad signing. I think that much money for a quarterback that young making one Super Bowl is a bad decision, and I think it's going to prove later in the NFL. You're not seeing a lot of rookies. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he was off his rookie deal. He signed that, right?
Yep,
off his rookie deal. He made it to one Super Bowl, and he signed that deal. He made it to 2 Super Bowls, lost that Super Bowl, and here he is now with a terrible defensive line that can't make a Super Bowl. I'm saying Patrick Mahomes is not worth it, dude.
I think you're overreacting to them losing 2 games in a row. I mean, Mahomes does things that nobody outside of Aaron Rodgers is able to do, just from a talent-wise perspective,
Yeah.
And Mahomes is playing like Aaron Rodgers, peak of his career Aaron Rodgers. They're pretty neck and neck in my mind, but Mahomes is so much younger. So, give him some years to mature, and keep in mind, he's only in his 5th year in the NFL. He's young. He's in his 20s. He's going to make mistakes. But once he starts getting older and starts working out some of those mistakes, as all these quarterbacks do, he will be breaking every single passing record there is to be broken in the NFL. I would agree from the standpoint that I think people are asking a little too much of him this early in his career,
Way too much.
even though he has shown that he can do that, he doesn't always do that. I mean, like this game, he had two bad picks against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not worried about the Chiefs at all either. They've had, I think, like 5 turnovers over the last 2 games in their 2 losses. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Can't hold on to the football. He can't hold on to the football, dude.
He's fucking done, because here's the thing. He's a mediocre running back at best, and he can't take care of the ball. So I think he might be done now. If he's not done now, one more fumble in the next couple of games, and he's just. I mean, clearly they didn't even want to use him last year. He ended up being the number 2 guy behind Le'Veon Bell, who's washed. So.
But hey, I will take Le'Veon Bell, a guy who can hold the goddamn football, over someone who can't hold on to the football to save their life. You know, it's one of those things.
The Chiefs need a running game. That's what I think part of the problem is I think too much of the weight is falling on Mahomes' shoulder, because
he
can't run because they don't have a running game and they're not playing defense, which is the situation Matt Stafford had in Detroit every single year, and he made a shit ton of Pro Bowls, and they made the playoffs like 2 years. I think Mahomes is on a different level. He's got better offensive weapons, but still same type of thing. There's not a good defense and not a good run game, and it's hard to like be dominant team. Like you can win games, but it's hard to be a dominant team when you're missing those aspects. Because at the end of the day, this is the NFL. It's a team game. No one player is going to win or lose you like games, or especially a season.
Well, I disagree.
So
I disagree a little bit, because I think one person, if they get injured, that will lose a team a lot of games, is Matt Stafford. You know, Noah, I hate to say it, you were right. This Matt Stafford train, like, you got to hop on it or get off, because this guy is rolling through. Beat the Buccaneers 34-24. Wow. I like, you know, I'm on degenerate bets. I'm not going to lie. On degenerate bets, fade me on all my NFL picks, because I'm terrible.
And what did I say last week?
You were right. I
said the Rams would win by 10 to 14 points.
And they win by 10 points. And here we are. You know,
small end of my range, but we were there. We were right there. I said they'd win by double digits, 10 to 14.
And dude, Matt Stafford, he just looks like another animal.
What do you have? Four tutties? And I don't know how many yards, but
let me pull up
probably
really quick.
300-ish yards and 4 tutties.
Matthew Stafford had 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 sack. I mean, come on, dude. Come on. Like, that just proves, I think, how bad the Detroit Lions ownership is, because that has nothing to do about play or anything like that. That just has to do with how bad ownership is at that point, how bad the GM is. Because with Matt Stafford being able, after he had 1 off season, bro. He had 1 off season. Can you imagine what
completely new system too? Yeah. He's had to learn a whole new playbook, new cadences, new snap counts.
Well, he's used to that East Coast defense, that East Coast offense, and now he's working on the West Coast offense, where we're, you know, ball or not, you know. And here he is learning Sean McVay's offense.
He's just damn good. I mean, Stafford's
damn
just
good.
he's just
so
talented.
Good, dude.
He's talented enough, and even more so, and possibly even more important than his talent is his IQ and his intellect.
His football IQ is
dude. He understands the game so well. Yeah, and now that he's got weapons, I mean, I'm pissed because I took Robert Woods when I could have taken Cooper Kupp in fantasy. Well, in a normal season, if you didn't have this quarterback trade, Woods should have been the option above Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
But Stafford and Cooper Kupp have a chemistry. I mean, what are they at? Like five touchdowns through 3 weeks. Cooper Kupp, I think.
Something disgusting. It's something disgusting.
Cooper Kupp's first or second in the NFL in receiving yards already. He's got like 500 yards through 3 weeks. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this was my personal favorite pick to win the Super Bowl coming into the season. They are now the favorite odds-wise to Super Bowl. I think that's a little bit, the odds jumped as an overreaction to this win, but I mean, I shouldn't say they jumped as an overreaction. They should have been this high to begin with, you know. They should have been one of the 1 or 2 or 3 favorites win to begin with, and they weren't. I think they were 6th or 7th or 8th on the list. Currently at number 1, which they deserve to be there to begin the season. And now people are finally now the reality is finally catching up, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. People realize this Rams team is good. What did I pick them to go?
You predicted them to go well over 500.
13-4 in arguably the toughest division in football, and I still picked them to go 13-4 at the beginning of the season.
And it definitely
because I do think that they'll lose a division game or 2 in there, but I think I picked them 5 to go like 5-1 or 4-2 in the division.
You did predict them to go very well against the division. They're opening up against the Cardinals as a 5.5 point favorite. Which I mean, that's not bad. I mean, 5.5 point favorite, like we'll talk about it more on Degenerate bets, but 5.5 with the Cardinals. I mean, with the Cardinals, the way their Cardinals are playing, like I said last week, Cliff Kingsbury is here to make football exciting, not to win football games. And if he wins football games, that's a good side effect, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say that, I was sweating it out with the Cardinals for the first half there. Yeah. Almost the first 3 quarters until they really fucking got their shit in gear there in the 4th quarter. But, after that kick 6 and Cardinals were down like 9 points or something.
So, unpopular opinion.
Well, and that made me nervous because they were my pick in my Survivor pool this week.
Oh, gotcha.
And so I was fucking sweating for a second there. I was like, how are they down 9 points to the Jaguars in the 3rd quarter? This or halftime or whatever it was. I'm like, this is not good. But then they came back and they even covered the 7.5 point spread because, you know, shit team can only hold the lead for so long.
No, absolutely. And that's why I'm really excited about this Cardinals-Rams game next week. I think that's going to be that's going to be just a good game. I think the Cardinals, you know, we'll talk about it on Degenerate Bets more tomorrow or whenever you listen to it. We'll talk about it on Degenerate Bets.
Yeah, you're not going to like my prediction for that game.
And you're not going to like mine, Noah. I'm going to let you know that right now. With that being said, Zach Wilson, kind of, you know, in a downtrend from what we predicted earlier in the season. I mean, being a rookie quarterback is always rough, but this guy is just kind of sucking dick on another level, you know?
Yeah, he just needs it, but he's not been playing any worse overall than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you look at all these rookie quarterbacks this year. Mac Jones is looking best out of him, but he just had a shit game against New Orleans yesterday. Rather. None of them are really looking good. They're rookie quarterbacks. I do think Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson have more slack. You got to give them more slack because they're on shit teams. Zach Wilson, especially. I mean, you had Mekhi Becton as, you know, blindside tackle going down in week 1, who is, you know, had potential to be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman on it, you know, which is rare for anyone on that Jets team to be like an all-pro caliber.
Yeah.
But Mekhi Becton's fantastic. The rest of that offensive line is dog shit. Now that Becton's out, the dog shit offensive line, if you've watched any of the Jets games, Zach Wilson has 0 time to throw the ball. Half the interceptions he's thrown could have been placed better, but have been like tipped off of receivers' hands. I mean, in my mind, watching that Patriots game with the 4 interceptions, one of those for sure, and possibly 2 of them weren't even Zach Wilson's fault.
No, not at all.
So he's just in a very rough situation. He's got no running game, which that always helps a lot. If you can establish the run, that opens up the pass. If not, you're just trying to force things into windows that just aren't there. The speed's a lot different, especially Zach Wilson not having a whole lot of experience even against Power 5 defenses throughout college. And then you throw him in there against NFL defenses. I mean, it's gonna be a tough transition, and it's gonna take time. And I still do think, I mean, at the Jets at 6-11 kind of year, what I've seen early, I'm gonna bump that down to about 4-13.
Oh shit!
But I still do think the Jets can find a way to pull out 4 wins. But I think just like the Jaguars, I don't think any of those wins will happen until probably close to the second half of the season. But they will have some weaker teams on their schedule that they can take advantage of. Obviously, I mean, the Jets almost mounting a comeback there against Carolina week 1, which is funny as hell that Carolina's 3-0. Carolina and Denver, it's just hilarious to me that they're 3-0 because both of those teams are going to go under 500, and their over-unders keep creeping up and up and up. And this would be the best time. I think Denver's at something like fucking 10.5, Carolina at like 8.5. But you know, because Carolina's played the Jets, the Saints, and just beat Houston.
Yep.
So okay, Carolina, the teams they've played are combined 3-6. The Denver Broncos, their 3 teams they've played are combined 0-9. So don't jump on any fucking Broncos or Carolina hype train. They've played some shit teams, although New Orleans is not a shit team. So Carolina's played 2 shit teams, and Denver's played 3 shit teams.
Well, no, talking about hype trains, one I'm starting to get on is the Joe Burrow train, considering he routed the Steelers 24-10 is the final score. Big Ben, obviously. I think the Steelers just kept him on because they didn't know what to do at quarterback. They didn't have a backup. They didn't have anyone that could step up and be the next starting quarterback of the Steelers. With that being said, they're paying the price with Big Ben playing as bad as he is. Or I'm sorry, not Big Ben anymore, medium large Ben, as we like to call him. He looks like he had cinder blocks on his feet trying to do a goddamn action route and everything like that. He is not a good quarterback. I don't think this Pittsburgh team has anything to prove. I think at this point they're ready to move on, and they need to move on, but they need to lose the season first.
He's the reality of it is he's over the hump. He's past his prime. I mean, he's what, 30, 39, 40 years old?
Yeah, 38.
Yeah, either way. I mean, like, he's getting up there in age. It's like you can't expect too much out of him. The reason this has worked the past couple seasons is because of their defense. But the problem is you got TJ Watt and a couple of their other key factors on their defense are out. Somehow the Steelers have 4 guys out with a groin injury. That's a weird coincidence that you have 4 guys out with the same exact injury. TJ Watt, one of them. I mean, and that's one of those injuries that could be 1 week, could be like 8. You never know with the groins, the hamstrings, the quad pulls, those soft tissue injuries. They just, like I said, they can be 1 week, or they can be like 8 to 10 weeks sometimes before you're fully ready to come back. Everybody's different. But this was like the first game in like forever that the Steelers logged 0 sacks. They couldn't get any I mean, the Bengals offensive line is not good, and the Steelers could not get pressure on Joe Burrow,
No,
which is just mind blowing to me how that happens. So I don't think it's as much of a Big Ben thing. It's like this defense needs to get their identity back, play how they did week 1, because this defense should be good enough that the offense only needs to put up about 20 to 25 points to win games. That's how this team is built. That's how this team is set up. They obviously have gone out and spent a lot more money on their defensive players than their offensive players for that reason. But if your defense doesn't show up the way it's supposed to, then you're screwed, because the Steelers offense is never going to just put anybody away like the Chiefs do by just scoring a shit ton of points. They're never going to be doing that. Their offense is meant to just be eating clock and wearing down the other defense, doing shit that way. But when their defense isn't making stops, then they're not going to win games.
Exactly.
Which I think a huge part of that is TJ Watt being out. He's the highest paid defensive player in the NFL for a reason. And Big Ben took a salary cut so that they could pay TJ Watt to keep TJ Watt because of how important TJ Watt is. But he's sidelined with a groin issue.
Yeah.
So that's almost like having your quarterback out or having your star receiver out. It makes a big difference. So
yeah, especially when you're a very defensive
I don't think it's time to go into panic. I don't think it's time to go into panic mode about the Steelers. I also think I don't think it's time to go into panic mode about the Steelers. I also think it's too early to jump on the Bengals hype train. Although, how about Jamar Chase? Got 5 touchdowns through 3 games.
Dude, what a fucking
and the whole. Do you remember the whole story of preseason? Everyone's like, "Oh, he's got drop issues. He's got the dropsies. He can't hold on to the ball." Here he is. I don't even know I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't know if he's even dropped a single ball yet this year. He's got 5 touchdown receptions, which is probably number 1 or tied for number 1 in the NFL, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Jamar Chase playing out of his mind. Him and Joe Burrow clearly have that chemistry from back in college still there. I think people were wrong about Jamar Chase, but I do think it's too early to jump on a Bengals hype train. They beat the Vikings, but then they lost to the Bears. So how can you be if you're losing to the Bears?
And again, I'm gonna hop on the Bears. Let's talk about the Bears really quick, because we really have not talked about the Bears as they deserve.
We opened up talking about the Bears.
I know, and it just, like, I'm a person that I live a stress-free life, bro. I enjoy the bong. I enjoy some booze. Like, I enjoy living, a stress-free life and everything like that.
You mean your tobacco water pipe?
Yes, sir. Tobacco water pipe, so we don't get banned from YouTube because these goddamn algorithms. But these goddamn Bears, dude. I swear to God, Matt Nagy, as I said earlier, he needs to be out of office. Ryan Pace needs to be out of office. And the fact that Nick Foles, Big Dick Nick, the fact that all 3 quarterbacks are in competition to be a quarterback in week 4 is disgusting. It's like, I have no other word for it except disgusting. Because how dare you? How dare you have a quarterback competition week 4? How do you not know who's going to start week 4? How do you not know how you're going to game plan going into week 4? But here we are. That's the Bears way. We're doing what the Bears do. We're going to show off either Nick Foles or Andy Dalton, and we're going to show one of them off, and we're going to show off how bad Matt Nagy's offense is, because it's honestly a piece of shit, dude. We're here. Here we are, year 4, and he is not, like, dude. I'm so over it.
All right. Enough of the Bears misery.
Enough of the Bears
for this
misery.
week. I'm sure we'll revisit it week by week. But one big thing that I do want to talk about from this week.
Yeah.
Clutch kicking.
Oh,
my
dude.
God. I
Holy
mean,
shit.
we touched on Mason Crosby's 51-yard game winner. I think that was his 26th straight made field
Yep.
goal. I don't know what the all-time record is, but he's got the longest active streak of made field goals. Yet Daniel Carlson with the Raiders hitting that overtime winner against Miami.
And then let's talk about the big one, bro. Let's talk about the Ravens.
Well, I was going to get to it.
Sorry.
You had Younghoe Koo in a game that nobody fucking cared about unless you're a Falcons or a Giants fan, hitting the game winner for Atlanta there in the waning seconds. And then we have a new record for the longest kick. And in the Detroit Lions, the pity kitty fashion, this is the most Detroit loss I can ever imagine. They were right down to the wire, had a chance to win or go to overtime with the Ravens. Ravens are back down in 4th and 19 leading up to that. First of all, how do you give up a 4th and 19? That's just terrible.
You beat the Detroit Lions.
But anyways, story ends up, Justin Tucker kicking a 66-yard field goal, doinks off the crossbar, but bounces forward and goes through. Man, Justin Tucker. Is he the GOAT?
Yeah. Oh, no question about it. I think
I need to is he the greatest NFL kicker that we've ever seen? I mean, obviously he doesn't hold any records for the most accuracy other than the fact that he is the most accurate kicker in NFL history from 50 yards plus. He's hitting it, I think, career-wise at about a 60% clip from 50 plus, which is incredible. There's kickers that come into the league and play a year or two and are 60% in general, and then they, lose their job relatively quickly. But Justin Tucker, over 60% from 50 plus yards, 66-yard field goal to win the game.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that record's going to stand for a long time.
Ice, dude. That dude has ice in his goddamn veins. Like, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. That man is cold. Like, he can walk out there and say, 68 yards, 68 is what we decided on. That was the official.
Well, 66 was this one, which previous record was held by Matt Prater, who had a 64-yarder.
Cardinals, for the 64. Correct?
No. He wasn't on the Cardinals. No, his 64 was when he was on the Broncos, which you have to put an asterisk by that because kicking it mile high, the ball goes farther because of the altitude.
True.
But still, regardless. 64. I think there's been 3 or 4 63-yard field goals in NFL history, but we just upped this at 66 with Justin Tucker. I think this record is going to stand for a long time.
Well, considering the Cardinals this week also tried a 68-yard field goal, and that got turned into a kick 6. I mean,
and Prater's got some serious range, and he kicked that all the way to the back of the end zone. That kick probably would have been good from about 63, 64, but 68 was just too long.
A little too far.
I mean, that might have been good from 65, even that Prater kick, but it was just a little short. And Jamal Agnew, who's been the only bright spot of the Jaguars, who's I think now got a 100+ yard kick return and now a 109-yard kick 6 on the season through 3 games, showing to be the only thing Jaguars fans have to cheer for. But yeah, I mean, kickers went off this week.
They did.
All the long game winners, the kickers overall were just very clutch this week. And
I'm gonna say,
and that's a position that they don't get enough respect. I feel like we gotta take more time to respect our kickers, because there are a lot of teams that have shitty kickers that you can't rely on.
Exactly.
You would know as a Bears fan.
Yes, no, I would know as a goddamn Bears fan. If you can read my finger, you can know which fucking kicker I'm talking about. Double doink and everything, but yeah, Noah, I want to say, besides the double doink, this show is a very pro kicker show. Like, those are the guys that they make the game winners. They're the ones that make the game interesting. They miss a field goal, they hit a field goal, like it's game difference. So pro kicker show at Degenerate Takes, I would like to say.
Well, I feel like I have to throw it out there too. The record holder for most points scored in NFL history is Adam Vinatieri, a kicker.
Vinatieri, shout out to Vinny.
He has the most points accounted for out of anybody in NFL history. So
yeah, shout out Vinatieri for being literally the GOAT of scoring points in a game.
Should be a 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
Should be.
Bailed Tom Brady out twice, but that's okay.
But hey, you play with Tom Brady, you get the ring. I mean, you're good with that, I guess.
Well, other than the fact that one or maybe even two of those should have been not the ring, but the Super Bowl MVP awards. One or I would have at least liked to see one of those go to Vinatieri.
Yeah,
he
fair
did
enough.
Hit the game winner in 2 of those Super Bowls, but that's neither here nor there. We love the kickers. We respect the kickers.
We
do. They don't get enough respect. They get all the hate when they miss. And that's part of the pressure on them, right? I mean,
yeah. They're in there to be clutch. You're in there as a kicker to be clutch.
Line up to kick, and everybody's expecting them to make every single kick. And so they make it, and people are like, oh, good, you should have made it. And they don't get any praise. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. And then they miss, and they're getting crucified.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so much pressure on these kickers, like, and it's clearly it's such a hard job to do, because you see how few of these guys actually like stick around in the NFL for 10 plus years. I mean, a lot of them are a year or 2 or 3, and then their average slips, and then they're gone, and then nobody else picks them up, and that's it.
Most definitely, being a kicker in the NFL is the hardest job. Excuse me. Because you got to be clutch, you got to be able to make those kicks and everything, and people have no problem getting rid of you at a moment's notice if you don't make that kick. Noah, we're going to another week of big college football, big NFL action. This is a Monday. We're here recording with our takes. Do you have any big takes going into the next weekend of football? Or any big takes on how shitty the refs are? What do you got going into this week?
Maybe not any like super big takes, but one big thing I noticed is, so we got 5 3-0 teams left in the NFL, right? 3 of those are underdogs this week.
Yes, they are. One of them being the Cardinals, because they're playing the Rams.
Right. So that one there had to be an underdog in it. But you take those 2 out, and 2 of the 3 other 3-0 teams are underdogs, I believe. Let me get this right. But between the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Broncos, which makes sense because honestly, I had all 3 of those teams as under 500 teams.
Yeah.
The Broncos and the Panthers, I have not changed my mind on. The Raiders, I have. I will admit, I think I picked the Raiders at either 8-9 or 7-10 for the season. I'm willing to say now, I think the Raiders are going to be above 500. Wow. I think they might make a playoffs. I mean, their defense is looking way better than I thought it would. Their offense is firing on all cylinders right now. Actually, they are technically, according to John Gruden, they're actually 4-0 right now.
True.
Because week one against the Ravens, if you missed it, they won twice. So they're actually 4-0. They're the only 4-0 team in the NFL. But Raiders got over this hump with Miami. They've got their next 3 or 4 games are pretty light. Like, they should be favored in all of those. I still don't think they're going to win the division, which is funny because Denver and Vegas both 3-0, Chargers 2-1, Chiefs 1-2. I think you can flip-flop the current standings through week 3, and that'll be the end of the season. Chiefs will be 1, Chargers 2, and then Raiders, Broncos, probably. I wouldn't read into it too much, but my mind is starting to change. I have not fully changed it, but it's starting to change on the Raiders. I'm getting a little bit more optimistic about them. They seem like they could be a contender, possibly. I think we have Raiders Chargers next week. Will be a huge game. That's one of the biggest games of the week that I'm looking forward to. That and the Cardinals and the Rams will be a good one.
Yes.
However, I think the Cardinals will stay in that game for 3 quarters, and the Rams are going to pull away and win by, again, same as the Bucs. They're going to win by like 10-14. Speaking of the Bucs, one last takeaway here for me. Their secondary looks troublesome.
So shitty.
They are
so shitty.
29 points to the Cowboys.
Bad.
24 points to the Falcons. And now 34 points to the Rams. This defense has given up a lot of points.
Yeah, that secondary is something to worry about.
And you thought they could go undefeated through the whole thing, win the Super Bowl again. And I've just been telling you, it's not going to happen. Although I wasn't anticipating their defense looking as weak as it was. I thought it was going to be because Tom Brady was going to have trouble with good pass rushes, which he did have. He actually played a decent game, but it wasn't like a tremendous game. But he had some trouble. He got sacked 3 times from that Rams D-line.
Well, I have,
but I'm even like farther down on the Bucs now because their defense is giving up way too many points.
I have 2 things now, Noah. I have one thing to respect you on, one thing that's going to crush your soul. The number one, I agree with you. This Buccaneers defense is not something that I can write home about. It's not something that I can bet on. It's something that I hate. They literally can't stop the pass. They can't stop the rush. They can't stop shit. They really can't. Now here we go. Tom Brady. That's all I have to say, bro. Like, honest to God. I'm saying this on this show now. And I will say it on Degenerate Bets tomorrow. All right. I'm taking the Buccaneers money line every week going from here because they're going to win every game outright from here. All right. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They didn't go 20-0, but they're going to go as close to 20-0 as they can.
They're losing next week. It's okay.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
It's fucking Belichick's revenge. It's the revenge of the Sith. Next week, big game. We got Tom Brady going back to Foxborough for the Sunday night game. And I mean, no, you're taking Belichick. You think Belichick's going to win this game? Cautiously. I'm not. I mean, just a little preview into Degenerate Bets. I will be. I will be loving Patriots to cover, and I will be cautiously taking them to win because I think. Bottom line is, I think Belichick has 10 times more to prove in this game than Tom Brady does. I think, and I have said at least once or twice before, Belichick has been game planning for this game since the start of preseason. He hasn't given a fuck about any of their preseason games, any of their first 3 games this season. And it showed when they had if he was focused game by game, they'd be 3-0 right now going into this game. And then I'd like the Bucs to win. But I think I have a weird hunch that Belichick has been planning for this game for like 2 or 3 months straight now. He's been game planning this entire game. He has so much more to prove than Tom Brady does in this game. And that's why I think Belichick's going to come out and I think it'll be a very low scoring game. And I think he'll just shut down this Bucs offense.
Well,
and give Brady a fucking fit.
We will see. If you want our takes on the Patriots and the Buccaneers, listen to us on Degenerate Takes along with the rest of our NFL and NCAA plays. But if you don't listen to us on that, we will be back with more degenerate takes next week. Son of a bitch. Hold on. How do you wait, what the fuck did I do?
You're screen sharing right now.
Am I? That's not what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I can see your desktop.
Huh. What happens if I click on you?
Someone's a little drunky.
A little bit.
That's okay. The beauty of it is you can just cut it. So.
Oh yeah, I can. Oh shit! Didn't want to do that.
Struggling a little bit there, huh?
No, fuck off. How about that? Hey, Lauren, you come down here real quick?
Dumbass.
I have no idea what I did. I tried to stop the recording and just talk to you, but that shit is not coming up. Hey, so I fucked all this up. How do I get Noah back? He's in this little cube here.
Bro, just stop screen sharing.
I'm trying to, Noah, but I can't figure out how to do that.
Have you never used Zoom before?
No, honestly, this is the third time the times that we've used it to record is the times I've used it.
Oh, I suppose I could have guided you through this based on the fact that I can see your screen.
Yeah, you dipshit.
Well, just pull up Zoom.
I thought I did. Yeah, Zoom's pulled up, and it's telling me to share shit. I don't want to share shit.
I'm going to grab another drink and let you figure this one out.
All right, no, it sounds good, bud.
I'll be right back.
I just want you to know I'm going to put this on the fucking show.
I probably wouldn't, but, whatever.
Yeah, please. Because I don't know how I did that because I was supposed to stop the recording about 30 minutes ago. I literally just want to stop recording. Yep. Oh no, don't do that.
Hi Noah.
What's up, Lauren?
Not much. How are you?
I'm good. I'm living life.
That's good. He's a little fucked up.
Dude, I told you she got into med school, right?
No, I'm gonna be a doctor finally.
Hell yeah, dude.
I know. Fucking
Doctor
never
Lauren.
gonna come true.